comes the uproar. It's sports on 32 FM 94.9.
Can he play?
The best players in the world and their best plays. It's sports on 32 FM 94.9.
Well, I think everything is in place for the Super Eagles of Nigeria to face off against their opponents. That's Cheetahs of Benin Republic later today by 8 p.m. They are at the 𝐿FET Stadium there in Ivory Coast. Remember that the Super Eagles of Nigeria, the loss of that's the ultimate game for them this year. That's at that same venue. And of course, we won games that's at that same venue as well. But this one, for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, we need just 1 point to ensure that we qualify for Morocco in the year 2025. Well, this morning I told you that we're going to discuss about that Hurricane, the statement he made about his players that withdraw from that's their club, that's a national team football. Talking about the Lions of England, various numerous players are pulled out, with the last being Jared Brathwaite of Everton Football Club pulling out of the squad, where Jarrah Quansah of Liverpool Football Club has also been called to replace him. But then what do we make of the statement by Hurricane? So we listen to the words of Hurricane himself while speaking about what it feels like playing for the Lions of England, while he also stated that one is important than the other. Also, aside from that, we go straight to Turin. We talk about the ATP Masters finals going on. Carlos Alcaraz, well, of course, what happened to this man? Well, for Taylor Fritz against Alex de Minaur, the game is going on presently. And also later tonight, we would have Yannick Sinner face off against Daniil Medvedev. That's in the round-robin format of the ATP finals going on there in Turin. And then we'll still come back to talk about African football, the CAF Women's Champions League. Edo Queens, they were in action yesterday. 0-0 it ended for them. But how can we qualify into the semi-finals of the fourth edition of the CAF Women's Champions League? Well, definitely we'll discuss about the chances of Edo Queens as well. Their game is set to go down on Saturday, and it's against the two-time champion and also the defending champion of the CAF Women's Champions League, Mamelodi Sundowns. So I think the program definitely is going to be an action-packed one, where, of course, you can also be a part of the conversation, where you can go to our Facebook page to also drop your thoughts and comments about what we have to discuss today. 32 FM 949 Fenye. That's how you can reach us. So that's on Facebook. And then outside Facebook also, you can also be a part of the conversation while you call into the studio to definitely share your thoughts about all that is going on and all that I've said, in which would be our talking point on today's edition of the program Scoreboard Reloaded, right on 32 FM 94.9. And the numbers you can call to be a part of the program is 0705 50949, 0705 50949, and 0809 70949. Those are the numbers in which you can call to also be a part of the program. So definitely, we know it's definitely time for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. But before then, you know you're listening to the voice of Oluwatimilẹ́yìn SAMIES Ogidi on the program this lovely afternoon. But then we know charity, the say, begins at home. So we start from talking about the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Well, for us at this point, how many points do we have and how many games have the Super Eagles of Nigeria played in their bid to qualify for the 2025 African Cup of Nations? Well, for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, we've played somewhat of games, but then, the last one we were supposed to play, we were given that's the 3 points after all that happened there in Libya. Where we didn't play that game, that's because of the atrocities in which, let's say, the uncommitment by the Libyans to actually obey that call, and how they treated the Nigerian players who were in their country to see off that game. And then the aftermath of that was the Confederation of African Football giving the Super Eagles 3 points and 3 goals. So definitely, how many points do the Super Eagles of Nigeria have at this point for us, the 3-time African champions, in our bid to qualify for Morocco in the year 2025? Well, the Super Eagles of Nigeria, I think we are doing so well for ourselves. And then we can say that under 𝐿 Guavon, we have picked up points. And for Nigeria, we have that's 10 points from 4 games played. And actually, we've not considered any where we've also scored 7 goals. And seated second is our opponent for today, Benin Republic, who are placed second with 6 points from 4 games played. Recall we defeated them a year. That's at the Godswill Akpabio Stadium there in Uyo by 3-0. Victor Osimhen at Ademola Lookman were the goal scorers in that encounter, and we won by 3-0. But later tonight, it is going to be a different encounter where, of course, we have the words of William Troost-Ekong, as well as the man who is acting as an interim capacity, that's Austin Eguavoen. But let's take a listen to the words of Austin Eguavoen speaking about the level of opposition in which we are set to play later tonight in the CAF. That's the African Cup of Nations qualifiers against the Benin Republic. The words of Austin Eguavoen.
We've worked with General for so many years. He was our head coach, very good coach, no doubt. He knows us in and out. He's part of us. And we know him also inside out. We know what he's capable of. But you know, Nigeria is a country you don't toy with. We respect the play. The mindset we come into games is to win, but easier said than done. We fight for every ball, we fight for every point, and that's what we want to do tomorrow. In respect to that, Benin is not a pushover, but we will work hard to make sure we achieve our objective.
All right, so there you listen to the words of Austin Eguavoen. We want to pick 3 points, and Benin Republic, they are not a pushover side. But then, the business end of the 2025 African Cup of Nations qualifying campaign, and of course, we have 24 nations set to represent their nationality. That's at the Bienna tournament set to go down there in Morocco. But now, 2 AFCON game weeks to look forward to. It started yesterday, and of course, we have the second leg. That's the match days also are set to go down after the conclusion of match day 5 of the African Cup of Nations. But then for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, we actually want to pick up a point which would actually make us qualify for the African Cup of Nations. But how can we do it? Victor Osimhen, it's a good thing that he is also back within the folds of the Super Eagles of Nigeria after missing the last international break because of the injury in which he suffered while playing his club football for Galatasaray. And then for Nigeria, I think it has been somewhat of a qualifying campaign for us, and 3 of our 10 points came after a CAF disciplinary committee hearing following the Eagles' exploits during the last international break, where their plane from Nigeria to Libya was diverted to a different location before the players were detained in the airport amid that sprawling spat between the nations. But then Osimhen has also returned to the camp. And then we have this man who is in contention to win the African Player of the Year in person of Ademola Lookman, also one of those players to spread the Nigeria's attack that's in that game against the Benin Republic. But for that's Benin, the Cheetahs of Benin Republic, they've lost 3 players. And of course, for 𝐃𝐈𝐒, at the start of the week, he said that he would exploit the weak defense of Nigeria. But at this point, he's saying it's going to take a miracle to defeat the Super Eagles of Nigeria. The one man also who played maybe as a captain under 𝐃𝐈𝐒 in person of William Troost-Ekong. Let's also take a listen to what William Troost-Ekong also has to say about the game set to go down later tonight.
The last game we played against Benin was in October, if I'm correct, and we won at home. We know Benin is a good team. 𝐃𝐈𝐒 has been my coach with the national team previously for over 5 years. Like the coach said, he knows the team very well. I've played against Benin several times. It's always been a difficult game. But I think here, especially in this stadium, where we have some amazing memories from earlier in this year, we'll be very ready. All the conditions are here for us. We feel at home here in Abidjan. And I'm confident that we can do the job and qualify by winning tomorrow. And that's what we're going out to do. But we all know it's going to be a difficult game, so we have to bring our best. But what I've seen so far in training, in the spirit, in the camp, we look very ready for the game tomorrow. This stadium gives us confidence. We felt at home here. I think the Ivorian fans probably be on our side because we made it very difficult for them, but in the end they went away happy. So hopefully we'll have that same support again. The conditions are perfect for us. We've been training well, and looking forward to the game tomorrow. But it's always a very beautiful memory, and I want to add to that tomorrow and have another win game.
All right, there you also listen to the words of the captain of the Super Eagles of Nigeria, William Troost-Ekong, who trades this game in Saudi Arabia. We'll discuss about what we can expect from the Super Eagles of Nigeria later tonight. They want to get 3 points from that game, and most importantly, they want to qualify for the African Cup of Nations. But moving away from that, we also have other nations set to play. That's later today. That's in the world of the Confederation of African Football. That's African Cup of Nations, I beg your pardon. Madagascar will be up against Tunisia later today by 5 p.m. Also, Rwanda will be up against Libya. By 8 p.m., Nigeria will be up against the Benin Republic. But the game is going on presently. Equatorial Guinea are presently playing against Algeria. And Niger would also be up against Sudan. South Sudan against Democratic Republic of Congo. 2-2 it is between both sides. And also Burundi will be up against Malawi later today. And Burkina Faso will be up against Senegal. But now let's quickly talk about Senegal, who are without a head coach. Well, remember that months ago they let go of Aliou Cisse. And of course, that was the start of October. But they are yet to appoint a permanent successor to the 48-year-old. And then for his second international break, they will be overseen by Papa Thiaw, under whose steady and the Teranga Lions defeated Malawi home and away last month. So Kalidou Koulibaly, the captain of the side, he also came out to say that the team, they are in no hurry to actually look for a manager. That's a man who would lead them on a permanent basis. But how can Senegal also fare? Well, despite our qualification to the 2025 African Cup of Nations, what do we expect from the Teranga Lions of Senegal? But then, in the words of that's Koulibaly, he said that it's a new era and we are going to see what happens. Well, for the moment, we have a coach in Papa Thiaw who is doing a good job. As you can see from the last 2 games, we have all confidence in the coach and we'll see what happens with the future appointment. And for the moment, we are all focused with this coach and his staff. Also later tonight, they will be up against the Burkina Faso. Well, Burkina Faso, remember their exploit also at the 2024 African Cup of Nations, which went down that earlier this year there in Ivory Coast. I think they did so well for themselves also in the course of those games. But then, the Central African Republic, they are also said to be in action. Well, for Tunisia, they are said to be in action, but we will come, and that's in the coming days, to discuss about, maybe tomorrow, the other nations are set to play. That's in the 2025 African Cup of Nations qualifiers. But before that, we've had the nations also seal their ticket to be that at the African Cup of Nations. So quickly, let's quickly take a look at some of those nations who have picked up a ticket to be in that's Morocco. That's for the year 2025. Algeria, Angola, Burkina Faso, Cameroon, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Egypt, Senegal are the nations. But then yesterday it was just about the results of games where Andrew Onana, the Manchester United showstopper, he had another clean sheet in that game. But a goal has been scored. That's in the game between South Sudan and the Democratic Republic of Congo. 3-2. That's South Sudan the lead in that encounter against Congo. But can they see this off for the next 5 minutes of regular time in that encounter, because they are in the 85th minute. But let's move away from that also and discuss about some other sporting stories, which definitely would include the European scene, where games are set to go down. The UEFA Nations League, Belgium against Italy, France against Israel, Greece will be up against England, Ireland would also be up against Finland, Kazakhstan against Austria. Slovenia would also be up against Norway. Armenia up against the Faroe Island. North Macedonia will be up against Latvia. So what do we expect from all of these games? But we'll take a listen to the words of Harry Kane. Well, of course, the captain of the Lions of England, where, of course, he will share his own sentiment about his players, that's his teammates, withdraw from their national team duties. Let's take a listen to what Harry Kane has to say.
I think the joy to play for England, I think he brought that back. I think every camp people were excited to come, every camp people wanted to play for England. And yeah, that's the most important thing. I think England comes before anything. England comes before club. England is the most important, thing you play as a professional footballer. So, and Gareth was, hot on that, and he weren't afraid to make decisions if, that started to drift from certain players.
Are you feeling it might have drifted this week?
It's a shame this week. Obviously, I think it's a tough period of the season, and maybe there's been taken advantage of that a little bit. I don't really like it, if I'm totally honest. I think, like I just said there, I think England comes before anything.
All right, today listen to the words of Harry Kane, saying he doesn't really like it if he's honest, and he thinks England comes before anything. Well, Trent Alexander-Arnold, who maybe only played that's a bit of the first half against Aston Villa over the course of the weekend. Cole Palmer, who was actually maybe rushed to play against Arsenal. Phil Foden, who has been in and out of Manchester City's side this season because of injuries. Jack Grealish, he missed the last international window because of injury. And in Manchester City's last 5 games, he has not been a starter for Bukayo Saka as well. He made a return from injury against Liverpool Football Club. We saw him. That's a limp off against the Chelsea Football Club over the course of the weekend. Declan Rice the same, and Ramsdale. Well, maybe we can't tell. Levi Colwill, well, he also played 90 minutes against Arsenal Football Club. And then Jared Brathwaite also made a return, and that's from injury. He has also pulled out of the Lions of England squad. And so for Harry Kane, he says he is not happy with the attitude of his teammates, where of course he wants them to play for the national team. Remember, Harry Kane is the leading goal scorer of the Lions of England and also the captain of the side. But 9 players are dropping out of the team that was initially called in Lee Carsley's that's last international game for the Lions of England. That's as an interim head coach. But let's take a listen to what Lee Carsley also has to say about Kane's comment about the players who pulled out of the Lions of England's squad. The words of Lee Carsley.
Okay, Andy.
Lee, sorry, another question on Harry's comments. He said, I think it's a tough period of the season. Maybe that's been taken advantage of a little bit. Do you think he's right?
I think it's his opinion. I can only deal with what's in front of us. I think like we've said in the past, November is a challenging window. In the past, we've had 8-9 call off. I know the under-21s and the under-20s have had a lot of players that have pulled out as well. So I think it is definitely that period of the season where fatigue and small injuries have played a part in it. But I think, like I say, it's a brilliant opportunity for other players that were on the outside of the squad, and now it's their chance.
All right, so you listen to Lee Carsley speak there. That's concerning Harry Kane's comment, saying it is definitely his own opinion. But let's move away from that. Well, the games set to go down today are important games. When we talk about the Nations League, the UEFA Nations League games are set to go down today, where of course it's going to be a make or breaker for some teams. England, an important game against Greece. Players maybe are not at their best for the Lions of England, but then it is said that the captain, or maybe it has been leaked that the captain, that's Harry Kane, might start on the bench, where of course Curtis Jones of Liverpool can get a nod to start in midfield. That's in that encounter. Well, players like Kyle Walker is still available for the Lions of England. Nick Pope is still available for the Lions of England. Same as you can tell that same as Oli Watkins, Dominic Solanke. These players are available for the Lions of England for that game against Greece later today. But Ireland also will be up against Finland. Kazakhstan against Austria, just like I said. Slovenia against Norway. Armenia up against the Faroe Island. North Macedonia will be up against Latvia. These games are set to go down later today in the world of that's the UEFA Nations League. And moving away from that, still staying within the European scene, it's about the UEFA Women's Champions League games that went down yesterday. Wolfsburg, they picked up their first 2 points in the Women's Champions League this season with a 5-0 victory over Oluwatosin Demeyi's Galatasaray, while Real Madrid also defeated FC Twente yesterday. Well, so quickly the results of the games that went down in the UEFA Women's Champions League yesterday. It was the Real Madrid 7, Twente 0. Lyon also won against Roma. 3-0 was the outcome of the game. And then for Chelsea Football Club, they came back to defeat Celtic by 2-1 in the UEFA Women's Champions League games that went down yesterday. All right, still discussing about women's football is the CAF Women's Champions League on the African scene, where, of course, match day 2 of the games that went down yesterday. While we were on the show, we were discussing about Mamelodi Sundowns. They actually were 4 goals up against the CBE as at halftime, but at the end of 90 minutes yesterday, that 4-0 was the scoreline which stood for the entirety of that game. As Mamelodi Sundowns, they are also maybe on the verge of picking that a ticket in the semi-finals of this year's edition of the CAF Women's Champions League. Remember, they are 2-time champions from the inception of the CAF Women's Champions League in the year 2021. Mamelodi Sundowns, they won the maiden edition. AS FAR of Morocco, they won the second edition, while Mamelodi Sundowns, that was the last season, they won the competition for themselves. But at this point, can they win it again? But that would be a tough one if they are going to progress into the next round, as they will be up against that's Edo Queens of Nigeria, who played out a 0-0 draw yesterday against Massa Football Club. For Edo Queens, what do we need to do against Mamelodi Sundowns? Maybe pick up that a draw to qualify into the next phase of the competition. Remember, we have 2 group stages, that's Group A and Group B, where Edo Queens, Massa Football Club, and Mamelodi Sundowns, well, for Edo Queens and Massa FC, they have 4 points, but for Mamelodi Sundowns, they have 3 points. So in order to qualify for Edo Queens, they need to defeat Mamelodi Sundowns to actually book a ticket that's in the semi-finals of the 2024-25 Confederation of African Women's Football. That's the CAF Women's Champions League. But then it's going to be a difficult one for Edo Queens. But let's cross our fingers and see what the result of the game would be for Edo Queens come Saturday, when that game would go down. But as we await the game set to go down between Edo Queens and Mamelodi Sundowns in the CAF Women's Champions League, Águilas de la Medina also will be up against the TP Mazembe. UWC will be up against the AS FAR of Rabat. That's and the Massa Football Club will be up against the CBE. That's in match day 3 of the CAF Women's Champions League. But moving away from that, let's also discuss about this one, where UEFA, they have opened investigation into David Coates over new video. Well, UEFA, they opened a new investigation into suspended Premier League referee David Coates after a video published by The Sun allegedly showed him snorting a white powder while on duty at Euro 2024 there in Germany. Well, at the age of 42, Coates was initially stood down by the PGMOL, the refereeing body for English football. That was on Monday, after a first video was posted on X, which showed the referee making disparaging remarks about Liverpool and their former manager, Jurgen Klopp. But right about now, UEFA, they have opened a new investigation also over David Coates, and let's see what the sanctions would be for David Coates. But let's move away from that also and quickly discuss about this last story from football before we switch to other sporting stories. Well, veteran manager, the man who against all odds went to the year 2016 to win the English Premier League title with Leicester City there in England. Well, veteran Ranieri, he is set to take charge of hometown team, that's AS Roma, coming out of retirement to become the Serie A's club third coach of the season. Muric was sacked last weekend, and then we had De Rossi sacked also. That was a month ago when they had a poor start to the season. But Ranieri, just like I said, who won the English Premier League title in the year 2016 with Leicester City, he has reportedly agreed until the end of the season with AS Roma following that's negotiations that's in London. Well, at the age of 73, well, Claudio Ranieri This man is set to take over the reins at AES Roma. But moving away from that quickly, let's discuss about tennis stories, where Carlos Alcaraz defeated Andy Rublev to open the ATP Finals account, and Casper Ruud also missed out of the last 4 chances. So now, let's quickly take a look at the results. There is a game going on presently, and that's between who? That's Casper Ruud, that's Taylor Fritz rather, and Alex de Minaur, while they are in the 3rd set, one apiece between both sides. Well, it was Alex de Minaur who had the 1st set, winning by 7-5, and Taylor Fritz in the 2nd set, winning by 6-4. Now in the decider, Taylor Fritz presently lead, and we expect the game to actually go down, while we'll come tomorrow to discuss about the outcome of that encounter. And then in the world of basketball, LeBron James, I said this morning that he recorded the 40th 30-point triple-double of his career a month before his 40th birthday. Well, this man, how do you call him? His name is LeBron James, and he continued to roll back the years with a game-high 35 points, 12 rebounds, 14 assists, triple-double, leading the Lakers to a 128-123 victory over the Memphis Grizzlies. Anthony Davis also added 21 points, 14 rebounds in that encounter. And for Victor Wembanyama for his side, we also recorded a career-high 50 points, 6 rebounds, 1 steal, 3 blocks, and 8 3-pointers. And also he became the youngest center in the NBA history to have a 50-point game. Definitely a good one for him. Well, I think it's time to actually step out of the studio. Well, it's just so great to actually be here to discuss about the sporting stories. But then you can be a part of the winning side, where you go to Facebook and also drop your prediction for the game set to go down between the Super Eagles of Nigeria and the Cheetahs of Benin Republic later today by 8 p.m. Thanks so much to everyone who has been under the sound of our voice. I am SAMIES, your sports captain. So we meet later tomorrow on Scoreboard Reloaded and the Scoreboard in 15. Do enjoy the rest of the day, and bye for now.
Kò ṣeé má gbọ́ BBC Yorùbá.